What's up? What's happening? Welcome in. It's the Hoffman Show, a show that is being haunted by a rooster here on the Team 980. You're watching on YouTube. Chris Russell's just hanging out in the background, seemingly threatening Anthony Haney with like a dodgeball. Now he's boinking him in the head with it.
Now he's hitting me.
What this? Chris, we're live on the internet. HR could be watching.
HR.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I got nothing. I will say, Chris, haircut looks excellent. Compliments to your barber. That is a fresh fade, sir. Well done.
Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. We're gonna do our radio show now. Bye, Chris. Have a lovely day. Chris Russell, everybody. You just heard from him, and apparently you won't hear from him until at least next Tuesday. That's what I heard at the end of his show. Stand again tomorrow. Wow. Yeah. Enjoy a long weekend. And make sure Anthony survives to see it. Okay, today on the show, the Capitals, they are on the brink. How do they flip the script? Tarik El-Bashir has the answers at 5 o'clock. We will also get into a discussion that, frankly, I've been excited to have all week. We've had all the newsy type of stuff, but A'ja Wilson, the three-time WNBA MVP, had some really interesting comments on just like kind of on like us, those of us in sports media that give opinions. And it was on a fun, like, comedic show, but I think the conversation is actually fun, and I really want to take calls on it. So we'll let you hear what A'ja had to say coming up at 4:30, and then get your thoughts on her thoughts and the thoughts on the thinking and the thoughts of the thoughts coming up. But, Anthony, we start with the schedule, which we now know officially. We had most of it by the end of the show yesterday. In fact, we had all of it. We just were missing a couple of times. But we have the full thing now. As people know, Giants, Packers, Raiders, Falcons, Chargers, Bears, Cowboys, Chiefs, Seahawks, Lions, Dolphins, Broncos, Vikings, Giants, Eagles, Cowboys, Eagles. And there are 8 standalone games. At least there's a couple other 4 o'clock games. There's 5 primetime games. Like, I think people know about all of this in general. And the thing that I keep coming back to is the just discombobulated nature of this schedule. 3 of their first 4 weeks, they do play at 1 o'clock. They don't play at 1 o'clock again on a Sunday until week 14 against the Vikings. So week 4 at Atlanta, 1 o'clock. Then it's 4:25. But that's actually a 1 o'clock game. It's just in LA. So it's 1 o'clock Pacific, but 4:25 Eastern. Monday night, 4:25 against Dallas. 8:20. That's Monday nighter. 8:20 against Sunday nighter. 4 o'clock against Detroit. Madrid game, which is a whole different time situation. Sunday night. And then they actually, ironically, go back-to-back again. They have 1 o'clock at Minnesota, but there's also a chance that game gets flexed for sure. If the Vikings are good and J.J. McCarthy's good, that feels like a prime candidate to get flexed to 2024 draft quarterbacks going head-to-head with Jaden and J.J. And then the Giants at 1 o'clock, week 15. And then we'll see what time that Eagles game is in week 16. And then week 17 is 1 o'clock, but it's Christmas Day. And then the Eagles game is a TBD at the end of the season. And typically teams don't change around their practice schedules and stuff for different timings. The only thing that really changes is if you play on a Monday night or a Thursday night, obviously practice changes. But the time of day and all that kind of stuff stays all the same. But just understanding, like, okay, on a game day, like, what are we going to do? They'll have lots of practice at it. They'll have time to experiment. They'll have time to figure things out. They performed very well in primetime last year, so I'd assume that they do a lot of the same stuff. But the thing about a football season is, and Anthony, we feel this in our jobs, which is not to play, but to put together the show. When we get into the season, our jobs actually become a lot easier. It feels busy. And so people were like, oh, are you super busy? It's like, yeah, I have a lot of film to watch. I have things to read. I have stats to look up. I have a lot of things that happen. People are wanting to talk to me, outside of this show and take command. Like, I'm doing other people's podcasts. I'm doing radio hits all across the country. I'm doing TV stuff. So, like, I'm very busy during football season. But honestly, 4 to 7 becomes one of the easiest parts of my day, because on a Monday, we know what it looks like. We know what our Tuesday looks like. We know what our Wednesday, Thursday, Friday generally looks like. It becomes very formulaic. The same is true for the players. But this year, it is going to be very different because the formula to get to game day is going to look very different. And on Sundays, for sure, it's going to look very different for a lot of these Sunday night games or 425 games. And just that lack of rhythm, I wonder how it affects them in 2025.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are based off, having a set schedule. Like even us, like we know during the week we'll get up. I know sometimes you have your morning classes, and then like we'll communicate. Then you may eat, take a break, or run, and then like we'll congregate here. But we have a routine that that makes it easier for us on a day-to-day basis. So it is going to be a little weird, but again, I think a lot of these guys have played, college football. Like college football, Jaden Daniels, like they played night games in college. They played, in the 1 p.m. Slot before. So I think it's just going to take some, getting used to, getting accustomed to, because you got teams like the Chiefs. Like the Chiefs have, I think they're in 7 primetime games on the season, and then like 5 of their primetime games are before week 8, which is insane. But they're used to this kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Baltimore is used to it. Dallas is used to it. And actually, Logan said something on Take Command when we talked about this earlier in the week or today or whenever it was. Actually, no, I think he and I were talking about it on the phone last night. Logan and I talk a lot. But we were talking about it. He goes, whether they should be or actually, you want to know who it was? JP said this too. So maybe it was JP. Maybe it was like, the point is, I'm not giving credit to anyone. This is an original thought. Dan was in Dallas for 3 years, and whether they should be or not, Dallas is on primetime all the time. They play in the 4 o'clock window all the time. They don't play a lot of 1 p.m. Or, for them it's noon because they're in Central Time. They don't have a lot of noon kicks in Dallas. And so learning how to manage that was something that Dan was very, very used to. But it's also it's something new for a lot of these guys. Obviously, for a guy like Bobby Wagner, who's been on good teams his whole career, it's different. He also was on the West Coast, so like playing East Coast 1 o'clock when you're an East Coaster, like that's something that was probably new to Bobby last year, even though he's been around the NFL forever. So it's always the different challenges. It's just, to me, it's not necessarily any individual week. It's the totality of the disjointed nature of the season, of just never feeling like you're in a rhythm of like, this is what a week feels like. It's like, nope. So it's like Sunday, Thursday, Sunday, 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 Monday, Sunday, Monday, Sunday night, Sunday, Madrid, bye, Sunday night, Sunday. And like the reason I say Sunday night versus Sunday is those Sunday night games end so late, it messes up your Monday. Like you're not really, like your sleep is the most important thing in terms of recovery. And you're not getting a good night's sleep after the game on Sunday because you're just getting to bed so late. By the time you get done in the locker room, you get out of Ashburn, or God forbid, the Chiefs game, which is a Monday night on the road, which is the worst. Like those night games, you got to fly back. Like you might not get home. I remember there was one time when I was covering, or back when I was working in Dallas, and in Dallas, they would fly some of the reporters with the team. Like the Cowboys were great about, you paid like a certain amount. So it's not like they just gave you a ride for free, but like there was a media rate basically for a seat on the plane. And the radio station I worked for down there paid that. And so I, would do like 3 or 4 games a year, the 2 years that I was in Dallas. And I covered a Monday night game, I want to say it was, in Seattle. And we got back at 5. We landed at DFW at 5 a.m. And I was on the team plane. So that means all of them dudes also landed at 5 a.m. They had just played a football game. And so, yeah, you slept a little bit, but like you're sleeping a little bit on the plane, you're getting home, you're trying to sleep as long as you can. And it's just a different deal. And so I think that's the thing that, is going to be interesting, to just make sure that they're on top of their rest and recovery. Do we see any kind of uptick in injuries, all that kind of stuff? How do they handle their business? But that's the thing about this team and the way it's constructed is they got a bunch of dudes who are pros. Like I'm actually like, it's a thing, but I'm not actually that concerned about it. And again, I'd rather be good and have good players and have a good quarterback and have to deal with having good opponents and a funky schedule than be a bad football team, because that's a way bigger problem to try to solve.
Yeah, that was the last thing I was about to add, actually. Because it's funny for us. Like, I know you go to sleep, fairly early, but the fact that we have, some late night games, some primetime games in the evening is going to make your schedule, and everything you do a little bit tougher if the games are ending at 11:30.
Nobody cares
12.
about me, Anthony.
But I ain't complaining.
You care about me, and I appreciate that. I care about me, but I'm trying not to make this about for me. Fine, I'll do 30 seconds on me. This schedule sucks. For me, this schedule's the pits. 5 primetime games. All these 4. We're even doing take command, instant reaction, post game shows at 10 o'clock at night. Screw
Yes, sir.
that. I don't want any of that. I don't want any of that one bit. Give me the 1 o'clock games all day long. Nope. We got week 2, Thursday night. Hey, it's 1 a.m. Let's do a post-game show. It's okay. I'd rather have this and cover a good team, and I'll deal with my problems later. I can always, hey, I can sleep in, or I can say, hey, sorry, I can't coach tomorrow. The morning fitness is going to have to be led by someone else. Your boy's going to be up late watching a football game, and some of the people taking the class might too, but it's not their job, and it's my job. So I'm gonna be here to serve, yapping about football. All right, when we get back, yesterday, not only the schedule released just in general, hey, we got information. It's also the Super Bowl for social media teams around the league. We will hit you with some of our favorites of what we saw in the creative space yesterday, next on the Team 980. It's Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Should reporters and commentators actually have to have played the sport that they comment on? That is the question we're essentially asking at 4:30. Right now, though, it was social media Super Bowl yesterday, Anthony. Schedule release day. All of the teams around the NFL put out their schedule release videos. And there was a theme to a lot of them that has kind of been one of the themes of the last couple years. And then there's some teams that were like, hey, I think we're going to try something different. And I got to say, I feel like the teams that did something different, a lot of them hit. What were some of your favorites from yesterday?
All right, so my favorite, I think, would have to be the Vikings because, one, as you just pointed out, it was different. Two, the fact that they got those people to buy in and get tattoos of the opponents that they're facing is insane. Because I don't know if I would have signed up to get a little bangle on my leg or something like that. Like
that's the crazy thing. It's not like they got Vikings. So if you missed the Vikings video, they got a bunch of fans to get tattoos representing their games. And for some of them, they were kind of like skull with some kind of accent that said like, oh, here's the other team is tipped off. But some, it's like, you kind of got a tattoo of the other team. Like there's kind of, I mean, the Bears, they made it look like a soft little teddy bear.
Yeah, that was funny.
But like, and it's like funny. It's great artwork. But like, do we think that they're all real? Do we think that all those tattoos are real?
And unless I'm gullible, I thought they were.
I mean, it definitely looked like
maybe it's not.
But
I
like,
don't know.
I don't know. Faking a tattoo, I don't feel like would be that hard.
I mean, but there are some people that really just do get tattoos just to get tattoos.
I mean, yeah, if you're one of those people and you've got a bunch of tats already, and it's just like, hey, what's that one? Fun story. I was a part of the Vikings schedule reveal in 2025. Like, it's a cool story.
There it is. There's only 6, not even 16, like 14, I guess, or 13. They played their division 2 times.
Yeah.
That math is bad for me, but yeah.
I don't.
They have 17 games, so
Yeah.
14.
Yeah. So I'm just gonna let you keep going.
They,
Sounds
All
right.
right.
Sounds
Yeah.
right.
14 opponents.
14 different opponents. So that's 14 games plus three doubles. That would be 17. That math
Yes,
be
sir.
mathing.
yes, sir.
So there's then like kind of the ones that everyone did. The 49ers did like a 16-bit Oregon Trail type deal. The Commanders did Roller Coaster Tycoon. The Colts did Minecraft. So did the Chargers. The Colts just didn't get permission to do Minecraft, so they had to pull their video, which I'm sure is going over great in the Colts building right now.
Yeah.
I'm
bad.
sure the legal department is not happy. I'm sure the social media department's also not happy. Although I do wonder if there's someone in the social media department that had a job yesterday that doesn't today.
God dang, that sucks.
I mean, if it's your biggest day of the year and you didn't hey, we didn't run this by legal. Like that's not good. It's not great. The Falcons did like a Mario Kart type deal.
I'm not gonna lie. Theirs was one of my least favorite.
I actually didn't even watch it. That's how I know that like it can only be so good. Is like if you did something like Mario Kart, which should be a pretty sweet idea, and it didn't even cross my feed, then it probably didn't. One of the ones that I saw. Or go ahead.
Also, shouldn't so when they did their release, they just did, I guess, their opponents as opposed to like going in order kind of thing. Like they just name drop all of their.
That
people
seems
like that
very
they're playing.
stupid. The
Yeah,
whole point
I
of a
didn't
schedule
like
release is to have the schedule.
Yeah,
It's not an opponent release. We knew those the day the season ended.
yeah. That's
We
what
know
it
most
is.
of the Commanders' opponents for next year already. Like, what are we doing? Come on, look. The Falcons march to the beat of their own drum,
Yeah,
and
clearly.
that we know. The Rams was one that came across my feed a lot. They got actress Brenda Song to do a kind of almost like an SNL weekend update kind of bit where they had a bunch of one-liners about all their opponents except for the Arizona Cardinals, who they said nice things about because obviously the Cardinals lent their stadium to the Rams after the LA Fires last year towards the end of the regular season and then for the playoff game as well. And there were some good zingers in there. So, and like some good bits, some good cameos from Braden Fisk and from Jared Verse. The Jared Verse ones were really funny. Like the first one where he's, Jared, your thoughts on Philadelphia, and gives a double thumbs down. And then later, they go back to him for the Seahawks because there's a play from the Rams-Vikings game last year where Verse just pancakes, just flops on top of Sam Darnold, and he just flops on top of the camera, and it's a pretty funny bit.
Yeah, I like theirs a lot. Theirs was also one of my favorites.
Speaking of celebrity appearances, the Buffalo Bills.
Ooh.
The Buffalo Bills. Awesome bit. Brandon Beane, their general manager, gets on the phone. Josh Allen's out in the practice facility, like playing pickup hoops with one hand, just like shooting around with the phone in the other. And he's like, hey, Josh, any ideas for the schedule release? And he goes, use AI. That's what everyone else is doing. And then they recruit Allen Iverson to just hold up, like he does like a funny back and forth with Bean, and then just holds up the schedule on a sheet of paper. And that's it. The whole video, let's see, I have it in front of me. The whole video is a minute and 45 long. They get the thing. There's a really funny bit at the end where they tries to get a Go Bills out of AI, and he's like, go Josh Allen. Can't get a full Go Bills out of him. But it's a very, very funny bit. It's well done.
No, that's funny. I think last year Josh Allen was a part of their schedule release as well. I don't know. Maybe simplicity is a way to go when it comes to these schedule releases.
I think sometimes it's good to zag when everyone else is zigging. I mean, the Ravens did a 7-minute parody of the show Severance.
Yeah, that's just too long. Also, I have my thoughts on Severance.
Oh, okay. Well, there's that. Apparently, the Raiders did a 7-minute parody of This Is SportsCenter stuff featuring Tom Brady.
That's just too long.
Yeah, it's too much. The Patriots did something with Josh Dobbs and his aerospace engineering degree. Egg drops and like a middle school science experiment. So there's a lot of good ones. I would say that one of the other ones that I thought was fun, like the Giants had a 10 out of 10 idea. They did like what's it called? Love Island. A new hottie has entered the villa. They did like one of those type of bits. Some of the jokes were kind of lame. Like they didn't do a perfect job executing. But that's like a 10 out of 10 idea, and they did it at a high. Like the production value was really high, so that was good. But like the thing is, for all these teams that did, and like I thought the Commanders got off some really funny one-liners, kind of or jokes, like hidden gems in there. The Luvu roller coaster thing was hilarious. The Luvu leap for the Eagles games. Nobody does it like the Chargers though. Like some of the hidden gems in the Chargers. I mean, the Chargers had Saquon haunting the Giants. They had
just crazy.
I mean, everybody that played the Chiefs got off a joke about Chiefsaholic.
Yep.
So
everybody did.
There's a lot of good stuff there. And they're like in the the Chargers is the one that every year though I need an explainer video. I need someone to explain to me all the jokes because their concentration of jokes is so high that I miss them.
Did you see the Colts booth in the Chargers video?
No.
It was the Pat McAfee suite
Oh.
where basically no one was in there because that's sort of kind of what happened after him and Zaire got into it. Like Pat McAfee and
The Colts were disinvited because Zaire Franklin was like, screw those guys.
pretty much.
Way to go, Z. Team Z forever. All right, when we get back, Asia Wilson was on a show called Subway Takes, which is a very funny YouTube show where a guy named Kareem has famous folks in the New York City subway, and they do like a whole interview. And Asia had a take about the media business that I think is worth discussing. So we're going to do that next here on the Team 980. It's Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app, streaming live on YouTube too at the Team 980. So people have all kinds of takes on the media and what our job is and who is and isn't qualified to say what kind of things. And who are we, typically as media, to push back? It's like, hey, I'm a guy with an opinion, doing my job to give that opinion, and you got an opinion on me? How dare you? So I understand the silliness of sometimes this discussion, but I also think it's actually an important and fascinating one, and I'm very curious to see what people think when they hear what we are about to play for you. A'ja Wilson, the three-time WNBA MVP and global superstar, was on a show called Subway Takes, which is a YouTube and digital show that probably has found its way one time or another into your social media feed in clip form. And she was asked by the host for her take, like her hottest take, because that's kind of the bit of the show. And here's how that discussion went.
So what's your take?
Reporters should be able to play the sport that they're reporting on.
100% agree. I think that it's egregious,
Yes.
if that's a word, that somebody could report on something that they've never played before.
Never played before.
It's crazy.
And we can maybe dull it down and be like, not necessarily play the sport, but at least a sport. Like sweat a little bit.
So if you've played basketball, you could maybe report on baseball.
Yeah, because you've been in that element. You've been in that locker room. You understand the feeling a little bit. And then you just learn it. But to play no sport at all, but yet have everything to say about it, it's kind of crazy.
I agree. I mean, if you're a doctor,
Right.
you've probably been operated on.
Right.
You've been a patient.
Yeah, you've been in a hospital.
You've experienced it.
Yeah.
And I think the best doctors have really good bedside manner.
Right.
Because they've been a patient. They've been in the other shoes.
They know it.
Whereas if I'm reporting on the athletics, I think I'm not going to do as good of a job.
You were honest with that. I feel like a lot of them aren't honest and want to believe that.
They're not honest. They're salacious. With the exception of fanatics. If you know the numbers, if you know the players, if you know the lore, the history,
Yeah.
the drama. I heard the WNBA has a lot of drama.
We have some tea. The tea. Not drama, but tea.
It's like a grand soap opera.
Maybe a reality show. Maybe
Oh.
like, not Housewives. But
That's also
like,
fun.
All right, and
yeah,
I think we got
it's
we got the crux. They then they veer off into being funny people, which they are, and that's the point of the show. But we got the crux of it there is that, like, basically, if you haven't played a sport and you don't know what it's like, you shouldn't be reporting on it, with the maybe exception of like, hey, you have a lot of historical whatever. I agree with this more than I feel like I'm supposed to. And I think the reason is, and like, again, for me, the bar of play the sport is very low. It's not you had to play the sport professionally in college or even on your high school team, which I did not do any of. I played recreationally all kinds of sports growing up. I've been a part of teams, and I've been in high-level athletics as a performance coach. I have obviously covered high-level athletics for a long time, but that's not really relevant to any kind of credentials that I would particularly bring to this, because that's the whole point, is like what gets you the ability to do it. But I do think that often when people I guess it also goes to like what some of my biggest critiques of the media are, the sports media in particularly. And to me, the biggest problem in sports media is the disrespect that media folks have for the athletes they cover, not necessarily as people, but as athletes. And this actually often causes friction between me and I think our listeners, Anthony, is because I am willing to be more forgiving of the people that I cover and just say sometimes, like, that thing they're doing is really hard. And like, I'm not gonna, yeah, it's their job, and we can talk about that. We can be honest about the fact that they may have failed, but I am not going to go as hard because I understand the task that they are trying to do, because I have played sports and because I've been in those environments. And I think, like, for me, even though, again, I've never stepped on an NFL field, on an NBA court, in any kind of competitive setting, I've played pickup basketball with D1 level players, and I understand how good they are. I've been in workouts with NFL guys and understand that, like, there was a workout that I was doing once, and it was like me and Randall Cobb. And when I did the ladder drill behind Randall, it looked a lot different than when Randall did it. His feet moved a little bit faster than mine, you might say. And so I just think that, like, to gatekeep the ability to cover sports, I think is wrong. People are not good enough or don't play sports for any variety of reasons. But I do think what A'ja and Kareem are getting at is actually, it resonates with me because it highlights the biggest complaint I have with the Stephen A. Smiths of the world who sit high and mighty on a desk in Bristol, Connecticut or in New York and hem and haw about how could this person possibly, it's ridiculous, they're a failure, they're this, with a sheer and utter disrespect for the difficulty of the task and the greatness of the athletes that they're talking about and the greatness of the athletes that they're competing against.
I have a little rebuttal.
Okay.
Just because, like, I feel like, so what about the people who, I don't know, aren't physically capable of, going out there and playing?
Well, that's my thing, right? Is like, if there's a reason, or even if there's not, you just weren't interested in playing, but you were interested in covering. As long as you have the respect, like, that's why I ultimately disagree with the take. Because I think, like, if you want to, like, go there, it's ableist in a way that, like, we shouldn't accept. But I don't think they're trying to be mean in that way, right? Like, just to be clear on what Asia and Kareem are doing. Like, they're having fun on the subway doing a show. And so, like, I do think that there is there. But I think the reason why Asia as a pro athlete probably feels that way, and my experience covering pro athletes for a decade, is the guys and girls, the men and women who cover sports that do it in a way that doesn't acknowledge, like, the fact that they're covering, if they're covering professional sports, the top 1% of the top 1%, and that the worst player in the league is so much better than the next best person. Like, it's ridiculous, or the average person, that it's hard to comprehend. Like, that to me is where, if you've played the sport, if you understand it, and you've been in a locker room, or you've understood, like, even something as simple as, like, Anthony, you've been on NBA basketball courts.
Yep.
Do you think the average person watching on TV that's never stood on an NBA court understands how far away the 3-point line is?
No.
Or, like, they see in the NBA dunk contest, someone dunk from the free throw line. Go try to dunk from the free throw line on, I'll give you a 1-foot rim. You can get all the way to the ground and fall over, and most of y'all still won't make it, because it is 15 feet away. Like, that is a really far jump. And these guys that are 6'7" are out there. Think of the 6'7" guy. He's tall, gangly, uncoordinated. Like, these are the best athletes on the planet. And, like, the utter disrespect, which is why when, like, Brian Scalabrine a couple years ago, when he was at the end of his career with the Celtics, did that thing. It was funny, actually. Our guy DA, Damon Amendolara, was a part of that with the Sports Hub up in Boston. And they just brought in random dudes, including a guy who played, like, was a bench warmer at Syracuse. Like, he was the guy who did the best against Scal. And Scal is, like, there's 450 players in the NBA. And at that point, Scal might have been the 407th best. Like, he was end of the bench guy in Boston, never played. He torched dudes. Torched them. And Scal still does this. I think he played pickup in New York City, like, I think sometime last year, or within the last 2 years. And Scal's like 50 now, and he's still just absolutely destroyed dudes because he's a former NBA player who's 6'11". And then you have these clown analysts that get out there and, like, talk in a disrespectful way. And I get why Asia would be like, yo, you come try it, and why you land on that place as an athlete.
Now, I understand it as well. And again, like, we're looking at it from from where their position, like, if you are in the NBA and you are the 13th man, maybe in a top NBA player's eyes, you might be trash, but, like, we can't necessarily be saying that, because guess what?
Right.
They destroy us. We're, like, common people. That's why we're sitting back, we're watching you, kind of thing. So I definitely understand, like, where they're coming from. It's just more so just having the wherewithal to, like, have some respect for those people, the top 1%. That actually did make it to the NBA, that got a chance and are, that we're watching, kind of thing.
Yeah, like, go try to throw I remember we were at James Smith Williams football camp a couple of years ago, and it was me and Logan. We were coaching it. Sam Fortier was there reporting on it, and we were just goofing off beforehand. And we were, like, throwing 5-yard outs from, like, an NFL hash. Do you realize how far that throw is? It's like a 30-yard throw.
Yeah.
Or a 25-yard throw. And, like, you have to throw that thing on a rope to not get it pick sixed. Literally, none of us were capable. Like, it's having a respect to say, okay, like, and that's my thing always, right? Is I have no problem being critical of players who don't do their jobs. That is very different than saying I could have done that. And like those are the people that I think Asia's talking about. And that I totally agree with. But I think it also opens up a fun secondary conversation, which is kind of like almost in a weird way, Anthony, self-serving here. Why do you listen? Like, why do you listen to me? Why do you like the people that you like on TV? And because, by the way, I think it can work the other way. Just because you play doesn't mean you'll be a good analyst. I think Kendrick Perkins says crazy stuff all the time. All the time.
Yeah, hot take artist.
Like, he's a hot take artist. I don't think there's certain elements of the game that I'm just like, I don't know that you know what you're talking about. And you can be biased to your own experience as a player. So Kendrick Perkins is going to see the world through Perk's NBA career. And like ESPN finds that very valuable. Okay, great. I have no interest in listening to it. That's my own personal opinion. So at 301-230-0980, I guess the second part of this conversation is, what is it that you look for, that you enjoy in commentary? After hearing this conversation and what Asia Wilson has to say, I doubt everyone's going to call. If you're listening to this show, like, you're not going to be like, hey, you have to have played pro football to talk about the NFL, because then why are you listening? I didn't play pro football. Unless you're like, I'm waiting for the part of the show where you play the thing you do with Logan. We're not doing that today. You have to wait for tomorrow for that. But what is it that you look for in commentary? And it could be entertainment. It could be information. It could be whatever. 301-230-0980. Your call is next here on The Hoffman Show. But first, we'll look at what's trending. Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Tarik El-Bashir on the Caps coming up at 5. By the way, correction, Isle Craig. Nats, they won last night, so they busted the 7-game skid. They did, however, lose this afternoon in their getaway day against the Braves. Just looked at the sheet wrong / lost my mind for a moment, so sorry about the incorrect What's Trending update, but we fix it because we own our mistakes because we're professionals, damn it. That's what it means to be a journalist. Just why you listen or something. 301-230-0980. We're just having a conversation about why you listen to whatever commentary you do, whether it be from us, what you watch on TV, on the heels of some things Asia Wilson said that we thought were pretty interesting. Paul's in D.C. and wanted to chime in. Paul, thanks for calling. You are on the Hoffman Show.
Yeah, how you doing, man? Hey, as my coach is Eddie Jordan. He coached the Wizards. I don't necessarily think that you need to actually have played the game at the NBA level, kind of what you was alluded to, but you definitely got to have a knowledge of the game because everybody that makes it to the league is not always have a high IQ. Let's just take basketball, for instance. Are you telling me Kwame Brown had a high basketball IQ? So I take somebody like a Lawrence Frank, who came up as an assistant coach but never played a game, or Rick Pitino, for that matter, who might not been athletically gifted, but guys like him and John Calipari, like Pat Riley, even him, he came off the bench a lot for the Lakers. I mean, he was a better player than most. But most of your great coaches were not great players, right? The ones who were on the bench or coming off the bench worked very, very hard to they study the game, to understand the game. I see a lot of these guys out here, and they don't even know what makes up a great play. I tell all of my players that I coach, even at the high school level, that every play should have a back screen, every play should have a cut, every play should have a pad. I learned that by being around the game. We don't play basketball, we're basketball players. In my family, my father played the game, my uncle played the game, I played the game. So when you commenting on the game, as long as you have that institutional knowledge of what the game is and how it's played, I think that makes more of a difference than, say, just saying that everybody that played the game should be a commentator, because that's not necessarily the case.
Yeah, no, Paul, I think that's a great point. And I think the coaching point is a really good one as well. I appreciate the call. And it actually, it reminds me of a conversation I was literally having yesterday. We had a young man that was shadowing our show yesterday. Shout out to our guy, Andrew. It was fun having him in studio yesterday. But he was asking me kind of how I came up in this. And Anthony, I don't know if like you and I have ever even talked about this, but like, my basketball knowledge, like I played basketball through high school, recreationally. I didn't have like the world's greatest coaching because I was playing rec ball, but like, you learn some of the fundamentals and whatever. But my real basketball education came in my 2 years at Middle Tennessee State, because before I transferred to Syracuse, where I graduated from, I was at Middle Tennessee State. And because I had the opportunity to be at a smaller school, and I was the most active like student media member there, I got access that I never would have gotten in a lot of other places. And so I went to practice like my sophomore year. I feel like, I don't know if I'm misremembering. I feel like I was at practice every day, specifically for the women, which was the better of the two teams. The men, like I was at men's practice quite a bit too. And like, I was very, grateful forever to Kermit Davis, who's the coach there, and Rick Insel, who's the women's coach, for letting me, be there and observe and learn and, understand. It's just what I thought you were supposed to do as a media member. But I realize now, with the benefit of hindsight, like the things I learned about the game, and also even the intensity, like I remember those practice. I remember them diving all over the floor, like getting ready to like fight each other because the intensity of the practices. And that's what it took to be at that level. And so it's not that you have to be able to play, because eventually we're all capped by our own skill. And unless your cap is NBA good, and like there's no amount of work that I could have ever put in to being a basketball player that would have landed me in the NBA. Like, I'm a decently sized human being. I'm 6 feet tall, 190 pounds. Like I'm cornerback sized. I'm not cornerback fast, cornerback quick, cornerback twitchiness. There is no amount of training I could have done as a child that would have allowed me to run a 4.4. So I wasn't going to play corner in the NFL, and I'm not big enough to play in the NBA. And like, could I have been a better player had I worked harder? Yes, but to what end? Like I had other interests, and those have worked out just fine for me. So it like eventually we're talking about like incredibly gifted people who then make the most of their gifts. And if that is the limits of who can actually talk about the game intelligently, like that to me is ridiculous. And so what I think about with what Paul said and like my own story, I'm biased towards my own experiences, obviously, is like I learned about it by being around it. I sat back and I just watched and I observed and I asked questions, and I had assistant coaches that would be willing to answer stuff for me. And I bugged the head coach when I felt like I could, but like I had players that were nice enough to say like, oh yeah, this is what I was looking at here. And like that learning experience of just asking questions, not necessarily looking for, it's not like I'm asking questions just to go say something on the radio. I'm asking questions to gain knowledge. And the same thing for football. Like I got really lucky when I moved to DC that the people that I got to work with, Chris Cooley on 980 in my first season here, Sean McVay was incredibly nice to me. Guys like Kevin O'Connell, like I was listening to Mina Kimes' top 5 coaches episode or top 10 coaches episode, and I'm like, how many of these guys did I get to cover? Like, some of it is luck and circumstance and who you're around and who you get to learn from. And now I get to work with Logan, who's a freaking football genius. And so I think that's the thing for me is like, again, I understand why Asia said what she said. And the sentiment to me is more of like, do you respect the craft? Do you have a true understanding of the craft and what it takes to succeed? Or are you someone who sits in a studio, blabs your opinion, which is based off of nothing, just being a fan, and there's really no reason why you should have the show versus the person, who's calling into your show or the person watching your show, unless you are, and this is where someone like Stephen A, separates themselves. And like, even, the junkies would never be like, oh yeah, we're experts, but like, they're incredibly entertaining. Stephen A is like one of the great entertainers in media. At some point, he started believing his own hype and thinks he's way more important than he actually is. But like, that's a separate thing. But like from an entertainer, there are a few that do it better. And so like, yes, the entertainment part is a skill. But like for me, I'm always looking at like, who's the smart guy in the room? And that's going to come with a certain level of institutional knowledge, whether that's gained by study or by participation. And I think both are paths that you can take. Thanks, Paul, for the call. Appreciate it. That was a good one and a fun discussion. If you have any more comments, thoughts on this, you can leave a comment on our YouTube page at Craig Hoffman at the Team 980 or in our YouTube chat here live during the show. When we get back, though, Tarik El-Bashir talking Caps. And then speaking of comments, never read the comments, coming up at 5:30. the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app, streaming live on YouTube too at the Team 980. Don't forget, tomorrow we are broadcasting live from Care First Arena ahead of the Mystics season opener. Tip off just after 7 o'clock tomorrow night. That'll be an Ion game on national TV, and thus you will not be able to hear it here on the Team 980. But any game that is on Monumental Sports all season long, you can hear simulcast here on the Team 980. Tonight, though, all eyes on Capital One Arena, where one of the other Monumental Sports teams is playing and fighting for their season. It is time for Not My Beat.
Today's top story from the perspective of someone who's there.
You are looking live.
This just in.
Not My Beat.
Can the Capitals stay alive? That is the question that will be answered tonight. Game 5 with the Hurricanes. And joining us to talk about it, Capitals reporter from Monumental Sports Network, Tarik El-Bashir. Tarik, I cannot believe this is your first time on the show. What an epic failure by me.
Well, I appreciate you giving me a call, Craig.
It's great to have you. And the whole joke of this segment is it's not my beat. Tarik and I were on the Commanders beat back in the day when it wasn't called the Commanders beat, but we're going to talk hockey now. Tarik, this series has obviously gone in a way that we thought it could. Carolina's a very, very good team, but certainly not the way that we've wanted it to. To you, like, what's the biggest reason the Capitals have fallen into this 3-1 hole, and how reversible is whatever trend that is?
I'm not so sure I can single out one thing, Craig. I feel like there are, 2, maybe 3 things that are working against the Capitals right now. I would say the first thing that comes to mind is Carolina's style of play. They are a high-pressure, high-intensity team that likes to get in on the forecheck and make it very hard for you to exit your zone. And the way I explain it to people is they want to make you feel like you're drowning. They fire pucks at your net, whether they're high quality or not. They're a high shot volume team. Puck hits the goalie, goes in the corner, they recover the puck. They do this over and over and over. And sometimes they're able to execute a line change and you're still stuck in your own end. And one bad shift begets another bad shift, becomes another bad shift. And before you know it, you break, there's a turnover, there's a miscue, and it's in the back of your net. And so they are one of the most predictable teams in the league. They have played one system under Rod Brindamore, their head coach, and they do what they do better than most teams do what they do, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And I would say that is the number one thing. I would say the second thing is special teams, power play and penalty kill. The Hurricanes are playing really well. They're scoring goals on the power play. They are killing off penalties on Capitals power plays. The Caps are underwater in that area right now. So that's not going their way. And I would say finally, Craig, goaltending can play such a massive role in evening series and kind of putting teams on equal footing. But when there is a disparity in play between the two starting goalies, it can swing the other way, and it can become a pretty big gap there. And I would say Freddie Anderson is playing the best he's ever played. He's a good goalie, don't get me wrong, but he's playing at an elite level right now. And Logan Thompson for the Capitals was outstanding in round one, and he's just been very good. So very good versus elite, you're losing that battle too. So I think if you add those three things together, that's why the Caps find themselves trailing 3-1.
And if you take that, first point, combine it with the third point, if you're just very good against an extraordinarily high volume, like the math is not going to work out in your favor. And that drowning feeling, I think, is one that Caps fans who have been watching the series identify with, because that's what it's felt like to watch the series. Tarik El-Bashir with us here on the Hoffman Show for Not My Beat today. One of the other big factors, obviously, is the offense has not been able to get going, in part because they just haven't been on offense very much, like you mentioned. But Alex Ovechkin has suddenly looked old in this series, and for as many times as we thought Alex Ovechkin was going to look old, he basically never has in his career. What has Carolina been able to do there, where it's just that 5-on-3 situation the other night where he finally gets on the score sheet sheet, especially after he came out on such fire in that opening round series against Montreal.
It goes back to the pressure that I was talking about in the previous answer. If you are defending for the vast majority of your shifts, and Obi's 39 and a half years old, and defending is really hard on your legs. It's hard on your body. It's hard on your mind. It is not a whole lot of fun to play in your own end, struggling to get the puck out of the defensive zone into the neutral zone, and then eventually into what they call the fun end, the offensive zone. And Obi is just not spending enough time in the fun end right now. And part of it is, he's 39 and a half years old, and he doesn't skate at the same level that he used to. He's on the back nine of his career. He's got another year in his contract after this one. I would say him and Brent Burns, I think, are the two oldest players left in the postseason. So I would say it isn't as much Obi looking old or playing poorly as it is Carolina's style of play is making him look older. Because don't forget, he scored 40-plus goals in the regular season. He didn't look old in the regular season. He looked quite spry. He looked to me like a 35-year-old player.
Right.
But when you play the same high pressure, high intensity, a hard forechecking team night after night after night in the same second round, I think the illusion can be that he's not playing well or he's letting the team down. I don't think that's the case. I just feel like he's playing a team that is literally giving him no space and no time to make a play.
So if we say the style of play and the tactics of Carolina are the biggest factor, one of the driving factors in this series, the fan reaction then typically is like, well, then coach, make an adjustment. How has Carberry handled this series in your mind, and are there even options on the table for him? And I know there's some lineup stuff that I think I've seen floating around that he might be pushing some different buttons tonight with.
Yeah, so they certainly have made adjustments. I would say the first couple of games, it did seem like they were being a little hard-headed by trying to do the same thing, exiting their own end, and it wasn't working, and it was kind of like facepalm, like, oh my God, that didn't work last time. Why would it work this time? The last two games, they did make adjustments, and they weren't trying to take the puck up the wall. They were doing high flips. They were doing other things you can do to get the puck out of your own end and start transporting it through the neutral zone into the offensive end. And it worked for a while. But then Carolina got hit to what they were doing and started making life hard on them again. And again, that gets back to one shift becomes two shifts, becomes three shifts, and before you know it, the momentum of the whole game has changed. I will say this also, Craig, the Carolina Hurricanes are arguably the hardest team in the league to play when you are trailing. They will just squeeze and beat and bludgeon the life out of you while you're trying to extend and do other things to create offense. It is paramount. It is imperative to take a lead against this team, and they haven't been able to do it. And when you can't take a lead against a team and they keep getting the first goal and you get off to a great start, but then they still get that first goal, then you have to get out of structure. Then you have to start doing things that you aren't really used to doing. And you start maybe playing outside of your system to try to press for that equalizing goal. Then you make another mistake. You've left a gap in your coverage, and now it's 2-0. And this is going to sound like a little bit of an excuse, but it's a fact. They're a bad matchup for the Cats. They just are. That doesn't mean they can't win tonight. And if they win tonight, we'll see what happens in Game 6. But they are a very tough draw for the Washington Capitals.
Yeah, for sure. And we've talked about this with a bunch of folks too. Carolina, their seed is probably misleading because of some of the moves they made mid-year. They're just a different team in the back half of the season, and the Caps are seeing that for sure. Tarik El-Bashir with us for another minute or two here on the Hoffman Show. I mentioned that there's some rumblings about lineup changes and rumblings based off of reporters being at practice. So Lars Eller might be out of the rotation. Riley Leonard back in. What do you make of that move, and what could Leonard provide as a spark? Again, just a couple of months out of college here, trying to help save his new professional team from the brink of elimination.
Yeah, so the big change there, Craig, is looks like Lars Eller's out, and Connor McMichael is actually going to move from the second line to the third line into Lars Eller's spot. McMichael is a center by trade. He has been playing wing for most of the season. He is going to center that third line between Andrew Mangiapane and Ryan Leonard, in the hope that he's going to bring some speed and some pace to a line that just wasn't fast enough. Look, Connor McMichael's 24 years old. Lars Eller's 36. Lars has meant a lot to this franchise. They don't win the Stanley Cup in 2018 without Lars Eller, but the production has not been there. 1 assist in 9 playoff games, and indeed it was kind of dragging down the rest of the line. And so he made a change. Coach Carberry said, okay, listen, I'm going to spread out the talent and the production a little bit. I'm going to take McMichael off that second line that has been so good, put him on the third line, bump Lars Eller out. And actually, Taylor Radish is going to come in on the fourth line. And Anthony Beauvillier is going to jump to the first line with Alex Ovechkin and Dylan Strome. And so there are some moves within the forward group, but the big one is going to be McMichael now at third line center. That third line has to produce if they're going to win tonight.
And then last but not least, Tarik, hopefully this looks like a very silly question in like 5 days from now, because the Capitals will have pulled off a miraculous 3-1 comeback and they'll be off to the next round. And, any kind of post-mortem on their season seems incredibly premature and in fact stupid. And I would love to play this clip as that. But if they do not pull off the full comeback in this series, and this is where they go out, whether it be tonight or in Game 6 or even in a Game 7, I feel like this season's a little bit different than previous ones when the Caps have been the best team in the conference and not gone as far as people wanted. In many ways, this season was a surprise. So, like, what outside of the Grade 8 chase, which is obviously the highlight of the season, how will you try to put into context and how will you remember the 2024-25 season for the Capitals, assuming that they don't pull off a miracle here, and that becomes one of the defining moments of this campaign?
Craig, obviously I'll remember it for the great chase. That said, I agree with you. I feel like there have been times in the past when this team has won the conference or finished first place in the league and they crashed out in the first round or second round, and it was like, oh man, that was a major disappointment. I don't know if you can really look at this season that way if they do not advance. I feel like they outperformed in a lot of areas during the regular season. They were shooting the lights out for a lot of the season. Logan Thompson was the best goaltender along with Winnipeg Connor Hellebuck for most of the season. They had a lot of things that went extraordinarily well and helped them rack up a lot of points. And it was funny, like, people would ask me sometimes, wow, why was Carp so down on the team after a win? Because you could watch and go, hey, we won that game despite not playing at our best. And it's been a few games of not playing at our best. So I guess that's a long-winded way of saying you're always disappointed if you don't go all the way. I think that when you win the Eastern Conference, the expectation should be at least to get to the conference final. But I feel like maybe we should make an exception for this year. Right now in this playoff, there are 10 new players, guys who weren't on the team last year, who are in the 20-man lineup tonight. 10 new players. That to me is an accomplishment in and of itself, to be able to meld together so many new pieces. And I'll tell you this, they've worked really hard behind the scenes to re-sign a lot of those players. So this isn't going to be this group's only kick at the can. This team is going to be good for quite a while. And if you're a general manager of another team that had an aging core, you're looking at the Capitals as the model of how to rebuild a team on the fly. So again, if they don't advance, disappointment, but they're going to be back next year.
And that's why I wanted to ask the question, because it feels like there is actually a bridge out of the Ovechkin era that leads to somewhere good. And hopefully Ovi's around for at least another year, if not a few more. Yeah. Not trying to push him out the door, but like that is so hard to do. And it's felt like that, but I wanted to run that by someone who actually knows what they're talking about. And Tarik, today that's you.
Hey, give me a call anytime, man. I appreciate it.
Hey, it was great to have you. Tarik El-Bashir, everyone. Watch Monumental Sports pre- and post-game tonight on Monumental Sports Network. Tarik will be there.
What's up, kiddos? It's your boy Clinton Yates from ESPN. It's the Hoffman Show on the Team 980. Tell your mama I said what's up.
It's Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. We're streaming live on YouTube too at the Team 980. Coming up in 10 minutes. Never read the comments here on the show where we, read the comments. What a silly name for a segment, Anthony. Who thought of that?
I think Craig Hoffman.
Yeah, guy's a silly goose. Noted silly goose, according to his 3, almost 4-year-old niece. Okay, Anthony, we can either talk about the Caps here, or we can talk about something completely non-sports off the wall. I think we should talk about the Caps for a few minutes first.
Okay.
I wanted to add, I appreciate Tarik answering the final question that I had for him about the Capitals and like what this season has been, because the Capitals, like when you're the number 1 seed, you should want to get farther than the second round of the playoffs. In that regard, this season, if they lose tonight or they lose in Game 6 or they lose in Game 7, would be a failure. But nobody expected them to be the number 1 seed. And in part, they're the number 1 seed thanks to the fact that some other teams took a while to get going. A team like Carolina made a bunch of trades at the deadline and became a completely different team post-trade deadline. And like, oh my God, they're the best team maybe in the whole league right now. They're certainly one of the hardest to play. And as Tarik said, they're a very bad matchup for Washington. And so if they lose in a way in a matchup they're supposed to lose in, like how mad can you get? And in a season that gave us the Ovechkin chase, like I think Caps fans will be able to look back fondly upon this season, even if it might have been their best last chance to get a Stanley Cup with Ovechkin, unless you think they can run it back and be even better next year. But it is kind of, in a weird way, like makes us look back at the whole Ovechkin era. And it is wild that they only have 1 title. For as often as they won the President's Trophy as the best team in the league, for as often as they were the 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, for as great as Ovechkin is, they just, thank God they have the 1, because the disappointment that fans would rightfully have of not having any for being this good for this long would be, it feels like too much to bear. You just like give up on the team and be like, I'm not a fan of that team anymore, because why would I be? All they do is hurt me. All they do is break my heart. It feels like this will be disappointing, but not nearly as heartbreaking as previous years with the Capitals.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. I think you look back, the early 2010s when we were constantly losing to the Flyers or the Penguins in the second round of the playoffs, year in, year out. And I think in those moments, like, you definitely were, pretty upset just because of the seasons Alex Ovechkin was having, and also the team in itself, winning the President's Trophy. But this year, the fact that, there wasn't too much hype, about the team coming into the year, and, we end up exceeding expectations and, happens to, fall into the 1 seed. Like, I think that's just a testament to, like, where we are. I think next year, the fact that, we had such a good season this year and we can build off of, what we've done this year, I think there are going to be expectations surrounding the team then. But I think another second round exit in the playoffs does hurt a little bit, just because this is sort of kind of what's been, consistent during the Alex Ovechkin era.
Yeah, the other thing too with Ovechkin is like so much of this in the last couple of years feels like borrowed time. Like dudes aren't supposed to play till they're 30. I know hockey players can go, and the great ones have played deep into their 30s. So in a way, it's not totally unprecedented. But like Ovechkin's still playing at the level he is, being a 40-goal scorer, like that's not supposed to happen. And the fact that he did it this year where he missed a bunch of time with a broken leg, like it feels like this is happening on borrowed time. And so how mad are you really supposed to get if you're getting something you didn't bargain for in the first place? So it's like, okay, if you get house money, you'd rather win the bets. But if you lose it, it's different than if you really lost the money that you should have probably been putting in your savings account.
Yeah, it's bad, but it ain't that bad.
Right. So that is kind of the thing with the Caps. The other non-sports thing that I was gonna just throw at you real quick. So the new Whoops are out. Whoop is a fitness tracker. It's like a heart rate tracker, and they have a whole bunch of formulas and stuff that they work on their app on the back end. And part of the new Whoop bit, Anthony, is they give you your what they're calling your real age. And so it's like, what's their health span, pace of aging, your Whoop age.
That's funny.
Versus your actual age.
And what is your whoop age?
Well, first thing, Rachel got hers yesterday.
I feel like hers is gonna be young.
Yeah. She came in at 23.
Oh my God, 23?
Yeah. And she was very happy about that. I'll put it that way.
I say that's good.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great. Phenomenal. Unbelievable almost. And
you, sir.
She was kind of waiting for me to come in and be able to rub it in my face. And I was like, dang, I just hope that my whoop age is younger than my actual age. And
It's the same age.
No. Came in at 26.
Oh, okay. You say, look, you downplayed it very good because I thought you were going to say you came in at like 36 or like, I don't know.
No, I mean, honestly, had I come in at like 30, I would have been pretty psyched. Like, hey, that's 5 years younger than I actually am.
Yeah.
I came in 9 years younger than my actual age. I feel great about that.
That's good then, correct?
Kids, sleep hygiene. That's the key. Got to go to bed at the same time every night. Wake up the same time every day. Be consistent with your sleep. Drink a lot of water. Don't make disastrous decisions. And you'll be all right. Or the whoop is lying to me, and I'm just going to be old. And one day it'll just be like, surprise, you're old now. Hopefully that doesn't happen soon.
No, that's dope, man. Okay, look at you guys.
Yeah, just not going to help our reputation as the, oh, look at you guys, Mr. and Ms. Fitness over there. Yeah, we're 9 and more than 9 years younger, according to our fitness trackers.
Yes, sir.
Take that, haters.
Nah, that's dope, man.
All none of you. All right, when we get back, speaking of the haters, it's time for Never Read the Comments. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the team at 980. We are always live as well on the free Odyssey app, and we're streaming live on YouTube too at the team 980. Coming up at 6 o'clock, it is time for a road trip draft. Anthony and I will pick the games we'd like to go to in 2025 if we could just, afford all of the time off and, finances of getting there. But we'll at least pick the games we'd like to go to. That's coming up at 6 o'clock. Also, conversation with Brittany Sykes, who is the newly minted, I don't know whether it's official, but like one of the two real team captains for the Mystics the day ahead of their home opener. That'll be at 6:15, and then we'll look ahead to the NBA action on the floor tonight at 6:30. Right now, though, it is time on a Thursday at 5:30 for the thing we do on Thursdays at 5:30.
We tried to warn them. They didn't listen.
Yeah!
Every week, the Hoffman Show goes into the belly of the beast.
We read those comments, baby.
Never read the comments.
All right, this live 3-hour radio show gets chopped up into itty-bitty pieces. Well, not itty-bitty. It's the segments. And then we put it up on YouTube, and you leave your comments on the on-demand of it all at Craig Hoffman and at the Team 980. Two big topics this week, and we got the NBA Draft Lottery, and then we got our conversations about Josh Connerly and what position he'll play and all that kind of stuff. So let's start off with the NBA Draft Lottery. And this is a bit of a longer comment, but I think this gets to the core of how a lot of teams feel, or a lot of fans feel, especially Wizards fans, coming out of Monday. And this is from Derek Brown, 7955. When we were that team stuck in the middle, did we ever get the assistance from the lottery? When was the last time we ever got lucky in a loaded draft class? LeBron to the Cavs, and when Bron leaves, the Cavs get the number one pick again. How many times since the Cavs pick LeBron at 1 did they get another first overall pick? If I'm correct, I think it was 2 times. That's true, although with one of them they did take Anthony Bennett, so whoopsie daisies on that one. The Spurs getting another top 3 pick. Seems like the league is trying its best to set up Wemby to be the face of the league. Too many coincidences not to look rigged. I'm just saying. All this silly talk about rewarding teams for winning and all the teams in the top with the worst odds, and then you say it's not rigged. If this was a crap class of prospects, I fully expect the Wizards to get the number 1 overall pick. This league hates Washington, and this lottery is fake. Here's the thing with the whole rigged of it all. And I had a pretty funny back and forth with someone. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. Where did this go? I had a pretty funny back and forth with someone about the riggedness of it all and the fact that it'd be impossible, I feel like, to rig. Someone goes in our response to our conversation with Chase Hughes. Chase thinking the lottery can't be fraudulent because of media and Ernst & Young, the accounting firm that certifies the results. And I responded, I was like, and the rest of the NBA execs in the room. Life is easier when you don't believe in conspiracies. And that's the part where I actually had to check myself a little bit, because in some ways with the NFL draft or the NBA draft lottery, it'd be easier just to believe the conspiracies. Hey, they're taking care of teams that, maybe fell on hard injury luck or had bad things happen to them. They're taking care of Dallas because they don't want the Dallas fans to just abandon the franchise, right? And then Kevin responds, it's easier because then you don't have to face the reality of people are crooked at all levels. Ironic that the only people sticking up for the process being legitimate are media folk. Let the whole world see rather than having secret meetings behind closed doors. At which point I told him, I was like, Will Dawkins was in the room the entire time, as was a representative from every team that didn't win the lottery. And I'll explain why they don't televise that in a moment. I think it's a bad decision, just to be clear, but I'll explain why in a moment. And he goes, so the Wizards reps were in the room the whole time from start to finish? And I'm like, yeah. And that's the thing. That's where you lose me on the rigged part of it, is unless there's something off with the ping pong balls. And even then, I feel like it'd be impossible to just flat out rig it. Technology's good, but like, I don't know. To fool everybody year after year and the amount of people that would have to be able to keep that secret, it feels crazy. And they're not pulling any shenanigans in front of the people. It would have to be done beforehand because people like Will and all, whoever else the other teams send are in the actual room. Now, the reason, Anthony, do you know the reason why they don't do the actual lottery on TV? or at least what I think the reason is?
I don't know.
So my guess is the actual lottery happens first pick first. They want to have the reveal. They want to count it down 14-1. They should not do that. They should just say, all right, we're going, because they have these dramatic moments, and like they actually messed it up because like Kevin Nagandi got confused on the TV broadcast when he didn't see the Sixers name pop up, and he's like, oh, they're out, and then it's like, oh, actually no, they're in the top 4. Like he got that backwards, and like, you know, they go through great lengths to try to hide it from everyone after the result, like in that small window between the results being done but them not being revealed to the public. But they want that 14-1 countdown. They want to make it into at least a 15-minute TV show with the commercial break before the top. They want that drama. They can't do that if they do it the other way. They have to do first pick first for the logistics to work. But they should just televise that part if they're going to have the lottery. And that's the thing is I'm not convinced at this point that having the lottery is the right thing to do. Because I think the bigger problem is more people think it's rigged than they have than people have a problem with tanking.
So is there a way where they could, I understand that they want to reveal who wins the lottery first, but is there a way for them to do it reversely where they can just do 14, 13, 12?
No, because the way it works not the way it's set up right now but not the way it's set up right now. Okay. So if you have, basically there's 4 ping pong balls and they're labeled 1 through 14, like 4 separate sets of ping pong balls. That adds up to 1,001 combinations. Each team gets a set number of combinations based off their percentage. So the Mavs had a 1.8% chance. That is 18 of 1,000 combinations. The Wizards had 140 of the 1,000 combinations.
Okay.
And so you then do that. You repeat the process, or you do the process the first time. You get 4 balls. What's the combination? Okay, that team gets the first pick. Do the process again. What are the 4 balls? What's the combination? Okay, that team gets the second pick unless it's the same team that got the first pick, in which case you do another drawing. And then you repeat that until you go through the first 4 picks, and then everybody else just gets slotted in based off your record in reverse order. So unless they were to, they would have to do lotteries for all the teams somehow. And that feels insane.
God dang, yeah.
So they should just do that. But this is why one of my solutions is great, is you should only have a lottery for the first pick. Then it's just one, show the ping pong balls. 14, 12, 7, 6. Wizards win the first pick. Yay! Everyone else bumps down a spot. That to me is one of the better solutions that I've thought of.
I like it.
We'll get to some more solutions in a second. Phoenix Black says, if the league doesn't want tanking, I think the obvious question is, how does a team that is not good get better? Isn't that what the draft is for? Especially when the NBA is not as team-oriented as the NFL. If free agents don't want to come to your team for whatever reason, why isn't the draft a reasonable option to grow talent? Seems like the current system is counterintuitive. And if there's nothing fishy going on in the room where the drawing is being held, why not be transparent? The NBA is a literal joke right now. And that's the thing. I just talked about why they do it, because they value the TV show over transparency. To the extent, I mean, look, I guess it's not transparent. I don't think it's rigged, but there's enough questions about it, and these coincidences keep happening at a rate that math suggests that they shouldn't. So I realize that it feels like I'm speaking out of both sides of my mouth. But I would say the math suggests that it's unlikely. When you have a team that's got a 3% chance one year and then a 1.8% chance the next, and it's like, oh, when Chicago got it, what a feel-good story that Derrick Rose, what a wacky coincidence. Like, it just feels like there's a lot of coincidences. And so I get it. And I think the NBA needs to crush that feeling. They can't have people who are otherwise reasonable thinking that their league is rigged. Like, that's a problem. And then you get to the point of, like, what's the point of the lottery in the first place? Okay, or what's the point of the draft in the first place? Do you have the draft in some kind of reverse order for competitive balance to try to give bad teams a way out? Or are you trying to reward winning, in which case you should reverse it? Or you should flatten the odds and be like, it doesn't matter where you finish. You either make the playoffs or you don't, and then you have a chance at the top picks. Or if you get close, we'll reward you with a higher chance of the top picks. Okay, fine. Then, what's the plan to get teams out of the bottom? Do you just have to overpay free agents and try to get to the middle? And then maybe you get your generational superstar then? I actually don't think that's as bad of an idea as you might think. And And it would also do there would be like cool second and third order kind of repercussions where the middle class of the NBA would suddenly get rich because veteran players that are not stars would have more value because you're trying to just have more competence. But like the Wizards did what they did this year with the exact type of vets that they did, that they didn't play too much and the amount of young guys they played, like because they were trying to do what was best for them in the current system. If you don't like that, if you're the league, then you need to change the system. And that's kind of where I'm at, where I actually don't disagree with this either. Samuel Anderson, 8519, says the worst team should just get the first pick, period. The NBA draft should be like the NFL draft, period. And stop caring about tanking. Just don't care. But then there's no funny business with the draft, and people know what's up. And if you want to try to enforce anti-tanking stuff, do it like you did with Utah this year, where you fine them $100,000 if they're clearly resting healthy players for no reason.
Good solutions. I hope the NBA enacts something, because the day I found out the Wizards didn't win the lottery, I definitely went on my social media and said the NBA is rigged.
Yeah, you definitely did. You definitely did.
I'm one of those people that think.
I said a lot of things that I can't say on the radio. I was happy that no one else was home because I wasn't proud of the things that I said. I was not happy.
That's good.
Two more on this. JW Carroll 6378 says, I like your plan, talking about my plan where you just have the lottery for the number one pick, because it gives the chance to win number one overall, but still keeps teams in a similar overall position. Washington being number 3 overall, where they drafted Beal and Porter, is more preferred to 6 overall, for instance, when Washington drafted Jan Vesely. And that's the other part of this, right? I do think a compelling argument against like tanking or whatever is that you have seen the league shift in the last decade and a half away from the top pick being as important to find superstars. The best players in the league right now, I mean, LeBron was drafted in 2003. He was a number 1 overall. Anthony Edwards was a number 1 overall. But who are the other best players in the league? Joel Embiid was drafted 3rd. And obviously he's injured right now, but like at his best, he's one of the best.
Tatum was drafted 3rd, wasn't he?
Tatum was drafted 3rd, although he should have been 1st. That was like I'm not saying Jason Tatum is Michael Jordan, but like Michael Jordan was also drafted 3rd, at least when he was drafted behind Hakeem Olajuwon. That was a very silly not taking Jason Tatum 1st. And anyway, point is, Tatum was drafted 3rd. Jokic was drafted 27th, something like that. Giannis was drafted 15th. Steph was drafted 7th. Like, because the league is more international now, especially, Doncic was drafted 5th. He should have been 1st. Like, because of the league being so international, you've now had a bunch of dudes that are not the top overall pick. So at the end of the day, like, the best way to be good is to take the best player, and it means you have to be good at scouting and good at player development. The problem is, though, that, like, the best way to ensure that you can get the best player is to have the top pick. If you're that good at scouting, you would take those guys number 1 anyway. So you're still kind of incentivized to tank, as opposed to being like, hey, I want to find the best player. Let me pick 9th so I make sure I get them. That doesn't make any sense. Like, those two dots don't connect. But that's why I also like the number 1 thing, where it's like, okay, we'll give some incentive. If you don't make the playoffs, like, we'll give you a shot at number 1, but we're not going to really punish teams by having them drop 4 spots like the Wizards did. Last thing, and this is another, I think, important point. If this is from Hotshot Caesar 1. I think a good way is to make it where if your team is bottom 3, you should be granted a mix of the top 3 picks, but you can only be in that top 3 for the season that you bottomed out. For the next 5 seasons, you can't go top 3. I saw another comment that was, similarly complicated, where it's like you should just have one lottery for the top 5 picks, and like the worst you can be is 5. Like but the worst 5 teams like all just get jumbled around, and then you have a lottery or whatever else for the other 6 through 14. And the thing is with those is, one, if you have to get to the top 3 or the top 5, like that could affect how you tank or not at the end of a season. So that still doesn't necessarily solve tanking. And I think this is kind of what's happened with the CBA, is they come up with a rule to fix a problem. There's an unintended consequence. And then they come up with another rule. And eventually you have, we have the mid-level exception, but we can't do that because we might go into the second apron. And then we're up against the hard cap. And then we might, like, it just becomes so complicated that unless you are some super lawyer and accountant, it's impossible to follow. And I think ultimately this is why I just go back to scrap the whole thing, because instead of trying to make it more complicated and fixing problems that I don't want to say don't exist, but like aren't huge deals, just fix the main thing, which is the integrity of your sport and your game and is in your league is under question. So get rid of that question, as opposed to doing these very complicated and complex and convoluted solutions.
What is your confidence level that something will change? Okay, just making sure.
0.
I think we're on the same page.
I think well, I shouldn't say 0. 10. Like right. I think that there's there are a lot of people in the league that are pissed.
Okay.
Like the league, the way this blew up specifically with Dallas is bad. And like the other thing I can't get out of my head, dude, and Cooper Flagg's going to probably wind up playing for Dallas, and this will be an afterthought for later, and maybe 5 years down the line and bubbles up again. You know who looked really upset that the Dallas Mavericks won the draft lottery?
Cooper Flagg.
He looked not happy when he was on the ESPN desk. He didn't it's like he had agreed to the interview ahead of time thinking it was going to be some other team. And they were like, hey, Cooper, time for the interview. And he's like, oh, I guess I can't really say no now. He did not look like he wanted to go to Dallas. And like, why would you? That fan base is so mad. That team just proved that they will trade a superstar. Like, why would you
superstar?
Why would you trust Nico and that front office and that ownership group? No thanks, bro. Like, I bet you if Cooper Flagg could go back to Duke, he'd probably be like, God, Coach Shire, like, you got a spot for me, bro? I think it's too late for that. But if I was him, I'd be trying to find my way out. I'd be like, I will Eli Manning the hell out of you. I'll go play in Europe and make a bunch of money next year. I'll come back and re-enter the draft in 26. I'm not doing this. Like, I would legit. And by the way, I think I know I said this about Paige Beckers in the W draft too, but like, we are getting closer to that because of the NIL stuff. Because kids, this isn't their first check anymore. We are getting closer to someone being like, screw this. I am not going to that cluster mess of a team, which is, by the way, why it's so important that a team like the Wizards is making a real effort to look like grown-ups and to have a good reputation with agents and a good reputation in the league. And yes, they're going to have to win eventually, and we're getting closer to when that, hey, you got to start putting some wins together thing is, 2-3 years into a rebuild. But like, at least the reputation around the league, I think, is pretty good. What Dallas has right now, holy crap, man. I can't imagine. Like, I haven't talked to anybody, but like, I can't imagine how upset everyone else is with the Mavericks right now. All right. Last but not least, well, Commanders never read the comments. Josh Connerly. It's so funny to me to watch us post something with an expert opinion. Say Logan Paulson, guy who played 10 years in the NFL, guy who trains NFL linemen, and then people to respond like this. High speed 30. Connerly Jr. can't play guard. He'll get pushed back into Jaden's lap. Even at offensive tackle, he struggles to plant that foot and anchor. He needs to get stronger overall. He will struggle at tackle or guard. And honestly, if you want to say the last part, hey, he's got to get stronger or he's going to struggle no matter the position, fine. But to say even at tackle, after Logan expertly explains to you why playing guard is easier if you're not as strong as tackle, like, do you watch the videos? Since this is all YouTube, now, I assume you don't listen to our show if you're listening on the radio on mute, because then how would you know I'm talking? At least if you're watching on YouTube, you can see my lips blabbing. Anthony, if I had to run you over, your job is to let me not run you over, which is essentially the job of an offensive lineman. You had to protect something really valuable behind you. Would you rather me stand right in front of you, or would you rather me have a running start?
I think I would rather have you stand right in front of me, actually.
So you'd rather play guard than tackle?
The math is mathing. Yes, I think guard.
Yeah, and that math is actually physics. It's force equals mass times acceleration. And by the way, if I happened now, in our particular case, I'd be trying to bull rush you. I think our strength mismatch is there. I got a better chance. You're pretty quick. But also, by the way, if you're a tackle, I also have, I have more space to operate and try to get you off balance. if you're playing guard, we're right there. Like, that's why you actually can play guard first, get stronger throughout the season in the first offseason, and then maybe kick out to tackle. Like, it's just physics. And people are really, really mad at physics, and I don't really know why they're so mad at physics. But then there's also this one from, comments like this. Jerome Foster, 4689. This is a long one, Anthony. Buckle in. Be absolute malpractice by AP to have knowingly or unknowingly picked a guard as our first-round pick, while Mike Green and so many other high-value picks were available. If they picked him as a guard, they did a major reach on Luke last year. So to fail again at effective talent evaluation, effective talent acquisitions means they're outsmarting themselves and allowing great talent to go to our opponents. That type of drafting is Ron Rivera 2.0. To pick a guard with our first pick is incompetent no matter how good he is as a guard. Stop covering for the screw-ups of this group. Assess without bias and expect better. We cannot waste picks. By the way, he spelled waste like your waste, not waste as in like trash, which I think is funny. We cannot waste picks and then act as though AP is cooking. Stop isn't because it calls your credit. He then questions my credibility in a sentence that's not actually English. Our first-round pick must be utilized as a right tackle, period, or this is a grade D draft. You guys are reaching at this conversation. Stop it. Jerome, picking a guard at 29 is perfectly fine. This isn't when they picked a guard, Brandon Sheriff, at 5. Also, guards are getting paid $100 million now. And interior defensive linemen are also getting paid like edges. Like, the league is shifting. And I realize that still it's a small number of guards and a small number of interior guys that are in the top 10 of offensive and defensive line contracts. But look at when the deals were signed. They're the most recent ones. Jalen Carter is probably going to make $40 million a year. There's going to be guards in the next couple of years that are making bona fide tackle money. Like, it's 29. It's not 9. And I just don't get the intensity of some of the pushback to a perfectly reasonable conversation.
Also, please don't ever compare this stat to Ron Rivera. Please don't. Please.
Anthony said it, not me.
Yeah. Please. That was
Anthony
very disrespectful.
Not me. Clay8668 says, seems to me the more difficult transition would be for a left tackle to play on the opposite side of the line, like asking a left-handed person to write with the right hand. And that's another thing, too. McShay said that with us. That's part of the thing that sparked this whole thing. He's like, well, for some guys, it's easier to actually play left guard if they play left tackle. Connerly hasn't played right side anything. So that's something that they'll be figuring out during the OTA period. Last but not least, a fun one at the end here. I actually mentioned this comment in passing to you yesterday, Anthony. Escaped 1534 commented on our mock schedule. And this was after we had done our mock schedule. We learned that, but before the full schedule was out, one of the first games we learned was that the Giants would be the Commanders' week 1 opponent, which is not what we predicted. And he goes, week 1 is the New York Giants, according to their site. And I go, buddy, it's mock schedule. We were guessing. He's like, my bad. I hadn't had my coffee yet.
I'm crying.
That's okay. Escaped 1534. I also sometimes say silly things when I haven't had my coffee yet. That's Never Read the Comments, full of silly things here on the Hoffman Show. When we get back, one of our annual traditions here on the Team 980, Anthony and I do our road trip draft. far would we travel for the Washington Commanders in 2025? That's the question. It is time for our second annual road trip draft here on the Hoffman Show. Anthony, we're going to have to go quickly here today. So, who gets the first pick is the first question.
I think I should.
You just like that?
Yeah.
That's seems bubkiss.
All right. You want to rock, paper, scissors, shoot?
Yeah, we can do that. You're on shoot, just to be clear.
Yes, we're on shoot.
So it's like don't go. It'd be 1, 2, 3, and then whatever
Shoot.
yeah. Okay. Ready? Ready? Rock,
paper,
scissors, shoot.
Shoot.
Rock,
Paper, scissors, shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
God, that would be tied
Rock,
like 4.
paper, scissors, shoot. Rock. I had scissors.
We both had scissors. You just get the number 1 pick. Just go.
All right.
We literally, that was the dumbest thing. We just tied 5 times in a row. In an attempt to save time and quickly decide something, we wasted time. Okay, excellent work out of us. Anthony, first pick in the 2025 road trip draft, as I throw the schedule back on the screen for everybody to see as a reminder, you are taking
The Green Bay Packers.
Oh, okay. So you're going Thursday night at Lambeau.
Thursday night at Lambeau, dog. That is one of the most historical fields, I think, in all of football.
It's a great pick, but you can have it.
I think I know where you're going to go.
Yeah, I'm going to Madrid, dude.
I mean, I forgot Madrid was a part of it. Yeah, I mean, you can have Madrid. It's okay. Watch my second pick.
Okay, fine. Madrid. I'm going to the Dolphins game in Madrid.
Yes, I think that's going to be a lot of fun. I didn't think of it. Week 3, I'm going to. No, it's not week 3. Week 8, I'm going to Kansas City for Monday Night Football.
You
baby.
definitely got the best 2 domestic games, I think, on the schedule.
Yes, sir.
Now, I would say I'd rather go to Madrid than both of those, but
no, you're right.
And also, I will say the Chiefs one doesn't hurt me as bad because I've been there, but I get it. Okay, now's where this gets hard. I have still to choose from the Falcons, the Chargers, Cowboys, Eagles, Vikings. Tell you what, I'm going to go with what this is a bit risky for multiple reasons. But if I'm right, this could be the game of the year. I'm going at Philly week 18.
You're going to that hostile environment, dude?
Dude, I'm not going to wear Commander stuff.
Okay.
But think about it. If that game is meaningful, what an atmosphere. And like it's week 18. I probably wouldn't have put this as high on the list earlier, but I was talking about this with Logan, and he's like, that's the one I can't wait for. I was like, you want to know what? You're right. Now, there's a chance that game means nothing, and I'm watching Marcus Mariota versus whoever this year's Kenny Pickett is. That would suck. But I'm willing to take the risk here.
Okay. You enjoy that, sir.
Okay. I'm really hoping you don't take that. I should have. The only thing is that's probably bad draft strategy because I don't think you were going to take that.
No, I wasn't going to take that one.
Okay.
Please don't take the next game. I'm going to Atlanta. JP gave us the breakdown on it yesterday.
Okay.
If I can pull off going to Georgia, Alabama on Saturday, and then going to the Commanders Falcon game on Sunday, and I have so many friends down there. I have family down there. I think this is perfect.
It's a great choice. So I'm now at a point where I've been to all of the stadiums that are remaining, I believe, except for one. I haven't been to SoFi, and I want to go to SoFi. Ooh. So I get Jaden versus Justin Herbert. Like, I get a good game. I get to go to SoFi, go see some friends in L.A. Yates, get your couch ready. Actually, this is all expenses paid trip. So Yates, I'll be fine on the housing, but I'm going to go meet Keanu, his baby. We're going to LA. That's my next pick. So to review so far, we're through 3 rounds of the road the road trip draft. I have Madrid against the Dolphins, Philly week 18, and the Chargers. Anthony has at Green Bay, at Kansas City, at Atlanta.
Yes. After that, I'm torn. Screw it. I'm going with it.
Okay.
I'm going to Dallas, October 19th.
It's definitely not a bad pick.
It's not, but I mean, there's another game I was considering, but I've never been to one of these rivalry games, so on the road anyway.
Ooh, that's a good call. Yeah, Dallas is definitely one of the ones I was thinking about too. It's just like it's Dallas. AT&T Stadium's great. Watching all the Cowboys fans be sad is better, and I get it. So are we down to what are we down to? Yeah, we're down to 2 games.
Yes, sir.
So I have the last pick of the draft, and I'm going to stick you with the Giants game.
You didn't want to go to Vikings?
Oh, that's what I'm saying. I'm going to stick you with the Giants game, or the Giants game is not getting picked, and I'm going to Minnesota. And honestly, I'm thrilled about that. There's a chance that's a good game, unless I'm forgetting. I'm not forgetting a game, am I?
Nah, that was the last one.
Okay.
The second to last one.
I've been to US Bank Stadium. It's one of my favorite stadiums in the NFL. It's new, it's shiny, it's nice, and unlike a lot of the new, shiny, nice stadiums, it has a real character. Like, you walk into US Bank Stadium in Minneapolis and you go, oh, this is the Vikings home stadium. There is a Viking ship. Everything is purple. They do the skull chant. Like, it's sick. I would definitely trade your first 2 picks, Green Bay and Kansas City. Those are the only 2 I'm like mad at. Atlanta can be really fun. Also a great stadium. That fan base is rabid, as we know on this show. God, we got sick of them last year. But I'll take Madrid over like I'm not mad at any of the ones that you took ahead of the ones. I thought the Philly one might come back and bite me. But I'm good with my lot. I would take any of these games. And then anyone else out there, we'll gift you the New York game. You can have it. We don't want it.
Yeah, I think all of our road games this year are pretty cool.
Now, if we did a home game draft, what's the home game you want to be at the most? I mean, we'll be able to go. That's the cool thing about them being home.
The home game, I would probably say maybe that Lions game. I think that's going to be electric.
I was going to say, I feel like the Monday Night Football against the Bears or the Lions game. Those are the 2 that I have circled.
Nothing beats Monday Night Football, so I got to agree with you. Bears. Monday Night Football is so cool.
It's very cool. I will say the Christmas Day Cowboys I'm kind of looking forward to, though. Yeah. And then again, I don't celebrate Christmas, so it's easier for me to be like, it's not ruining my Christmas Day. I was just going to sit home and watch football and basketball anyway.
I mean, I'll just roll up at, about 12:30, and I'll be good.
Yeah. I'm going to put in a request. I'm going to put in a request in the press box. Can we get Chinese food catered? It's a Christmas tradition. If you know, you know. No, Anthony doesn't know.
I thought you get Chinese food.
Yeah, that's the bit.
Oh, so
okay. You do know. Okay. Yeah. Glad we got that covered. Up next, Mystics. Their season starts tomorrow. Brittany Sykes is going to be one of their most important players. Let's talk to her on the Team 980. even asked Sydney about it. I was like, do you see Slim as more on ball, off ball? Because you've done both. And he was basically like, I want to see her on ball some. Like, I see her more off ball because we want to get her in positions to score.
Yes.
Have you ever had a coach say that to you before where you're like,
No.
I want her in position to score?
No. No.
It's Mystics Media Day. Brittany Sykes is with us, the Cuse in the house.
Yes.
Also the leader of the team, apparently, in the house.
Oh, my God.
I asked Sydney a bunch of different questions. He kept coming back to you and Steph as, like, they're going to set the tone. They're the leaders. They're this. Was that something that was, like, formally introduced to you, or is just kind of put on? Like, did you kind of realize, like, oh, he keeps saying this. I guess I'm going to have to.
I feel like it was more of that. I feel like it was more like, if you don't catch a clue by the second time he said this, I feel like Sid set the tone when we were working together with Team USA. He, like, literally looked at me in the huddle, and he's like, I'm going to lean on you. I was like, oh, damn. All right.
Let me stand up straight.
Let me stay right. Let me stand
up. Make sure my core's right.
Yeah, nah, for sure. But I think it was just one of those things where he saw something in me, and I'm grateful that he did, and he trusts me. And I trust myself. I trust him and his leadership. And it's just all coming according to plan.
You've always played in a way that would scream leadership, the way that you hustle, the intensity, you don't take plays off, like you don't take possessions off. But to now have that, I won't say formalized. It's not like you get I mean, who knows? Maybe they'll sew a C on there somewhere. But, like, but to have that, like, more explicitly said by a coach.
Yeah.
Is that something that's new for you to when everyone's looking around in the huddle, it's like, oh, right, I got to talk now. No. Like, is that new for you?
Kind of, sort of. I think when I had this type of responsibility, I wasn't in a solid mental and, like, emotional state. So it was rough. It was like a trial and error, to be honest, like, the last 2 years, trying to figure out what is Slim's leadership style, right? And then you get a coach like Sid and the coaching staff that we have, and the trust and the certainty you get with them, it helps. I realize that I might not be a talking leader. Like, I can say words, but I am very much lead by example. And I think I've been doing that, and credit to my village. They've reminded me, like, hey, you don't have to talk all the time. Because I started losing my mind. Like, I don't want to keep talking. I don't want to keep talking. And they're like, you don't have to talk at all, honestly. Say your words, but ultimately your actions is what people going to follow you by. So just getting to that point now.
Yeah, there's also the basketball player of it all. And, last year when you were healthy, this team was a winning basketball team. I know last year had to be something far beyond frustrating. I don't even know what the right words are. I don't know if we can say them. If this interview is ever going to air on the radio, probably not. But as you went into this offseason, obviously you had Unrivaled to prepare for as well, and preparing your body. What was different about this year and how you approached it versus maybe years past?
I mean, honestly, I think right after the season ended, I immediately went into rehab and training for my foot and just training my overall fitness. And you start to realize you get up there in those years and going into year 9, it's one of those things where you probably got to change your diet a little bit. I still believe that I will forever heal like Wolverine, but even Wolverine's healing kind of slowed up as he got older. And that's just with time. I'm doing everything in my possible power to stay healthy and be on this court and be available for 44 games. But ultimately, I think I just figured out what it is that worked for Slim, what it is that looks like for recovery, for endurance, for conditioning, like all those things. What does that look like in this offseason? And I pretty much got it down pat.
Are there people that you leaned on? Like, do you have, it's funny because you're in year 9, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now you're going to look at someone, I'm assuming, like Sony. And she said already, like, she's leaning on you as hard as she possibly can.
Yeah.
So, like, she's going to be, I do this with Sony 5 years from now. She'll be like, Slim was my mentor, right? It didn't mean that you don't have those people. Who are the people that you were able to lean on? And maybe you talked to some of them this offseason. Maybe you didn't.
Yeah.
Like, who are those people for you?
Man, it's crazy you say that. I had, like, a crazy amount of I have gratitude every day. But yesterday was, like, soaking it all in, driving to work and entering literally year 9. For me, this offseason, I think one of the biggest people that I watched and I listened to and I asked questions was Chelsea Gray, being my teammate, But I learned a little bit from everybody, but for sure, just watching how she led us in Unrivaled, watching how, she put us on her back.
What did
man,
she? Holy.
I'm just happy I could, say that I came to work, that day. But just watching her do it so effortlessly, and to know that everybody has their internal battles and what we were all dealing with in Unrivaled, just trying to figure out what it is that we wanted this season going into to look like. Just doing that. It really helped me in just picking her brain, whether it was just watching her or literally asking her questions on the drive home. Sometimes we would ride together, and it was just one thing that she told me. I don't want to share it because it's my secret power now.
Oh, okay. I was about to ask, can you share one? I guess not that one.
I can share one.
Okay.
It's I knew going into this year that we would have a lot of draft picks and we would have a lot of young players. So for me, I watched how she worked with me, how she worked with Angel, how she worked with Lexi Hull, how she worked with Ka, how she worked with everybody that literally came across our team. She had a way of talking to them, especially when we would get frustrated in our own respect. She knew how to talk you off the ledge. She knew how to work with you and help you realize, like, hey, calm down, you're good. Let's just go out there. Let's put our best effort. Let's keep it going. And that worked tremendous with me. And I think that was something that I needed to experience in order to be able to give that to my rookies. Because I know there's going to be times in the game where things are going to be going so fast and they're going to be so, frustrated. Just take a moment to just breathe and just let the game come to you.
Yeah. Oh, and I think it's so funny hearing that about Chelsea specifically in that Unrivaled, because, like, it wasn't like you watched her on the court and, like, oh, this is a calm person who's just like chilling out there. Like, she's out there murdering people.
No, like,
and so that
island.
Yeah. So, like, to have the multitudes of that, I think is pretty fascinating.
No, it was really dope to watch, because I'm like, yo, I knew, because I was a teammate with her in LA. Right. But it's really different to watch something like that happen up front and like up close right there. Either I'm on the bench watching or I'm on the court, and I'm literally like, damn. The island was crazy, and I'm like, all right, I gotta go back and guard that. I gotta go back and guard that.
That's exciting for now.
Yeah, I mean, because she was going through her own injury herself, and she was coming back, and it's crazy. You get to see how quickly things can change, and when you're not like in the mix, how people can like forget that you're a bucket. And I'm like, man, y'all tripping if y'all forgot C. Gray was a bucket.
No. And it's funny, too, because, like, for her specifically, not to make this a whole Chelsea Gray interview.
You're
but
just
like,
that great, Chelsea.
Yeah. Like, everyone knows the passing.
Yes.
But then you see when she's like, oh, no, I got to score right now.
Yeah.
Like, she can flip that on.
Oh, yeah. She holds you accountable in every way.
As well as basically anybody in the league. All right. For you this season, on the floor, like, leadership part, we talked about it. We know that's going to be a part of it. But, like, what are your goals, if you have them, for this season for Slim, the basketball player?
Off the top of my head, obviously, be available all 44 games plus playoffs. Just be available for my team. For sure, I want to get back on that defensive team. I was working my way to 5 in a row. Things happen, but for sure, it's nothing like starting a new streak. So, for sure that. Always going for deep play, always trying to get the guards, that prized possession where it belongs. Where it belongs. But outside of that, I think one of my newest goals is to be placed or earn my spot and prove that I deserve to be on the All-W team.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
That's one of my goals. So I'm tired. I'm tired. I love defense. That's my shit, right? But, I want to make some noise on the other side, too.
And last year was almost 18 a game, I think, something like that.
What?
Points for you last year? Like, you were.
Man, I don't know. On the second half, probably.
Yeah. So I think that was the thing that I think watching last year from the outside. Obviously, the team missed your defense, because if you're not on the floor, a team's going to miss your defense. Yeah. You're great at it. But the scoring, the playmaking, that was. Did you feel like you just had more runway to do that last year? And obviously, that's setting up to be similar this year, where for perimeter scoring, like, you're going to be the lead guard, I would imagine that.
Yeah.
I even asked Sydney about it. I was like, do you see Slim as more on-ball, off-ball, because you've done both? Mm-hmm. And he was basically like, I want to see her on-ball some. Like, I see her more off-ball because we want to get her in positions to score.
Yes.
Have you ever had a coach say that to you before, where you're like,
no,
I want her in position to score?
No. No. So it was really fun when, he came and we had those discussions and we had those talks, throughout the process. And what he see for me and how, he envisioned me playing within the offense that he has, set up for us. And, yeah, it was me getting to that corner, getting to the other corner, being able – I call it opening my gate. Like, I'm able to open my gate. I'm able to really get out and just sprint the floor and, not really have to worry about the responsibility of primary ball handler and what that comes with. Because I don't think a lot of people understand where your responsibility lies when you're predominantly on the ball and when you're off the ball. It's a lot more that goes into being – and you don't have to be a point guard for that either. You just have to understand the game, So I can appreciate being able to be off that ball a little bit more now. It's a little weird now because I'm used to having the ball in my hands, but I trust who he has put the ball in their hands to be able to get it to me or who anybody needs the ball, to be.
All right, last two fun ones that I'm asking everybody. Story your jersey number.
Oh, man. Okay, I was in high school, and I really wanted to go to Maryland at the time, and Christy Tolliver was one of the biggest names to come out of Maryland. Fast forward, we get sponsored by Under Armour. My high school coach comes in, and she's like, well, what do you want to wear? And I'm like, 20.
Yeah.
And, and that just went from there, and I've just watched her game. I still am a huge fan of KT. She now knows that I wear number 20 because of her, but for sure. And then, after I saw KT, I just started realizing, all the great players that were, 20, Ginobili, Allen, Tony, all of these people, defensively and offensively have, some facets to their game that I take, with me for wearing 20. So I just want to represent like them.
And then last question. You heard Kiki answer this one at the tail end of hers. She ready to go.
She was ready. Chanel, y'all better talk to her, man.
If you could pick any brand to work with,
okay,
who would that brand be that you don't currently work with?
Okay, if I had any brand to work with, you know what? I'm gonna put this out here. Whoop.
We can make that happen.
Whoop. I want to work with you guys. I don't have it on right now because see, mine's. I had to get a new 4.0 because the battery went down.
On the 4.0?
Yeah,
okay.
No, but I've had it for 4 years.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, so
I had a 3.0 before this. So
we need to talk, Whoop. So we could tag this.
This was mostly for funsies, and who knows? Maybe some of these will go viral on the internet, and maybe we can get some stuff, and then I can be the popular person that got people brand deals. That one, I actually know some people.
Well,
you and I were going to talk.
Oh, look at Georgia.
Some's going to get a Whoop deal. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the team at 980, always live as well on the free Odyssey app. YouTube, Team 980. Tomorrow, live outside, or not outside, inside. They're not making this broadcast from the outdoors. We'll be at ESA tomorrow. At what's now known as Care First Arena, ahead of the Mystics and Dream tomorrow night. Availability report is out. Noelia Edwards. There's thought maybe she could come back because she was listed as out for like 2 weeks with a low back contusion about just over a week and change ago. But that was going to be tough for her to come back for the opener, but hopefully she'll be back soon. And Shakira Austin, who went into the preseason opener with a questionable designation that kind of appeared out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden she's out, and then she missed both preseason games. She's out again tomorrow. So the just cursed injury existence of Shakira Austin unfortunately continues, as she will miss the season opener tomorrow at ESA. That game is on Ion tomorrow night, 7:30 tip-off. Again, we will be live in the concourse at ESA starting at 4. Doors open, so if you want to come say hi, 6:30, or as we're breaking down at 7. Ann, are you going to come over after the show, or you not making it tomorrow night?
I won't be there tomorrow night. I'll be hitting the road.
Oh, where are you headed this weekend?
Or maybe I won't be hitting I don't know. It's up in the air, but North Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Be a quick trip, though. I'll be there for like 36 hours.
That's tough. It's a quick turnaround.
But if I don't end up going, then I will definitely be over there.
Okay. Do you need if you're gonna come over, do you need a pass, or do you just gonna buy a ticket? You'll text your boy.
Yeah, I'll figure something out.
Yeah. That was a silly question. I was trying to take care of you, and I realized you can take care of yourself.
No, that would have been lovely too, though.
You take care of me when it comes to Mystics tickets. We got Anthony's got a guy. Always got to get a guy. The Denver Nuggets could use a guy besides Nikola Jokic to do anything. They're on the brink tonight. Oklahoma City Thunder looking to advance out of the second round, make their first conference finals in obviously quite a long time, with that just absolutely star-studded young group of players led by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And their task might be even easier tonight, Anthony, because Jamal Murray is questionable with an illness. So I don't know, unless Murray is playing at an extraordinarily high level, how Denver does this. If maybe they're at home, the role players play better, Christian Brown has a big day, or Michael Porter rediscovers a functional shoulder and his shot fixes. But like the way that the Denver Nuggets are built, they need Jokic to be amazing, and they've gotten that. I think that's the kind of the bummer if you're watching Denver. Or in a way, it's a bummer because you feel like you're wasting these performances, but also it's like, okay, well, at least that guy hasn't gotten any, like, at least he's still the man. At least we're still in the dead center of his prime. Nikola Jokic has been incredible in this series, and it comes down to it, like, I think, what did you tell me yesterday, Anthony? They were 1 for 15 in the fourth quarter, I think was the stat. 1 for 10, 1 for 15?
1 for 15.
Just couldn't make shots in the fourth quarter, and it wasn't like they got bad looks. They just missed a bunch of shots. They need Michael Porter to be a 18-point scorer. He can't put the ball in the bucket right now. He's only so good to start with, and he's super banged up. His shoulder is a disaster. Jamal Murray is now apparently sick. They need Christian Brown to take a step. They need these young guys. And, Aaron Gordon has been outstanding for most of these playoffs, but that's not enough. And I just think Oklahoma City has too much. And for as much fun as it is to see, kind of the battle of a champion, to see the best player in the world do best player in the world things, I do not see how Oklahoma City doesn't walk away from tonight ready to take on Minnesota in the conference finals.
Yeah, and I think even last game, if, Michael Porter just gives you something, or, Aaron Gordon goes out there and has 20, I think they get the job done. Or Russell Westbrook, like, he has been very absent this entire series. So
he's present. He's not present doing things that are helpful to the Nuggets, but I mean, that quote that Russ had earlier in the playoffs where he was basically like, you're going to know I'm there. There has never been a better explanation of the Russell Westbrook experience than the one given by Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, it's not good. But also, I mean, I think you also just got to look at the Thunder too, though. They have their guys stepping up. The fact that Lou Dort hit 3 threes in the fourth quarter, I'm just like, whoa. So I think that's ultimately what it comes down to, what others are going to be able to help. You look at the game yesterday with the Timberwolves, everybody chipped in. You had Gilgeous-Alexander. You had I can't think of his name.
Who's you talking about the T-Wolves? Because Shea definitely didn't play for the T-Wolves yesterday.
The T-Wolves.
You just said Gilgeous-Alexander. I mean, you got Julius Randle, you got Ant, you got Mike Conley doing stuff. Like, you got
Mike Conley. All right. I don't mean to say it like that, but who's the white? Oh, DiVincenzo. That's what it was. He finally had a good game yesterday, Craig. I didn't want to say it like that, but I was like, it's DiVincenzo.
I mean, look, there are certain things that you can and can't say along those lines. That was one of them that was, if you had said who's the white guy, I would be like Dante DiVincenzo.
Yeah.
That's you can say that, Anthony. That's perfectly fine.
It would have helped.
Yeah. And the fact that you did it in the way you did, honestly, made for better comedy. So excellent work out of you. Oh my God.
But no, who's going to help though? Who's going to help out?
And the thing is, like, even if he does get help, it might not be enough because the Thunder are that good. And that's the other part of it, right? Is like part of the reason the Thunder are great. Shea put this beautifully after the last game. He's like, you're only as weak, and it felt like a shot at all the others for the Nuggets, but like it's also just the truth. Like, you're only as good as your weakest link. And for them, for the Nuggets, everybody was the weakest link, and those weak links were really, 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 really weak. Nobody hit anything. And for the Thunder, they had dudes hitting shots all over the place. Jalen Williams hitting shots. Wiggins is hitting shots. Dort's hitting shots. Obviously, Shea's making big plays down the stretch. Chet's doing stuff. Like, they just got dudes. Hartenstein's doing what they need him to do. There's a reason they won 68. And, beating a team like Denver in 6, like, that's the kind of battle you have in the playoffs. And, Minnesota is going to be a very, very tough test. And, it's funny because everyone's kind of crowning Anthony Edwards for all of these, or it's not only crowning, they're commenting on all of the crown jewels that he has knocked off, right? Hey, feather in his cap for knocking off LeBron and Luka and Steph and, last year, all the guys that he beat. And he's still hasn't made a finals yet, but he's following the path. Like, this is how it works in the league. And he's doing it fairly quickly at the age of just 23. And in some ways, I think the most impressive thing he could do is beat Oklahoma City, if that's what it comes to, because this is a team that, win total wise, point differential in the regular season wise, would be like the best team he's ever beat. But he's got the experience of playing in the conference finals before, and that in itself should be a thing that is a separator. And so in many ways, it becomes like, hey man, you've gone down the path that you have to take to win, which is you kind of lose at every round, and eventually you figure out how to play at the next level, and you realize series after series what it takes to win a first-round series, a second-round series, a conference finals, and then, can you do it in the finals? And I think that's a really fun storyline to watch, but it starts with Thunder and Nuggets tonight. The Celtics absolutely blasted the Knicks, so they've got a Game 6 tomorrow. We'll talk about that and preview the rest of the NBA weekend tomorrow here on The Hoffman Show. When we get back, though, it is time to wrap this sucker up with real things, real people said, into real microphones. Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the free Odyssey app. Streaming live on YouTube, too, at the Team 980. Anthony, in the break, just scrolling Instagram, and the Seattle Storm just posted a pic or a video. Dominique Malonga, the second overall pick in the draft, 19-year-old French kid, just like drop step yam.
That's crazy.
She's going to catch a body this year.
Yeah,
someone's going to die. Someone is going to be the first WNBA player to be dunked on in 2025, and Dominique Malonga is going to be the one to do it.
Has anyone ever actually just been dunked on?
That's the thing. I don't think so. There's been plenty of dunks in W history at this point, mostly in transition. I think BG might have gotten somebody at some point.
Yeah.
But, like, this girl can just, like...
She's springy.
Yeah. Yeah. Very unrelated, Anthony. This story, this might have been Russell's dum-dum of the day. I caught the very end of it. I didn't fully hear it, but it might not have been. If not, it's certainly a candidate for when he gets back on Tuesday, because Russell's out tomorrow. Ben Standig in 1 to 4 tomorrow. If you want to catch Standig talking Commanders here on the Team 980. But one of my favorite baseball players growing up, because I grew up in South Carolina. The Braves were the team that I followed most closely. Rafael Furcal was the shortstop for them for a long time. He's one of my favorite players because he was a speed demon. Just an absolute, freakish base runner, had a crazy strong arm, just a super fun baseball player. And I'm just going to read to you from this story from ESPN.com from the Associated Press, Anthony, because you're going to get to the point where I get to the thing that happened, and you're going to go, hold on, I'm sorry, what did you say? You ready for this?
Yes, sir.
Former Major League shortstop Rafael Furcal is facing felony charges in South Florida, authorities said. The former All-Star turned himself in the Broward County Jail Wednesday and was released on bail a short time later, according to court records. He's charged with aggravated battery with a deadly weapon and throwing a missile into a public or private dwelling or vehicle.
You said he threw a missile?
Yeah, that's the part where I just went, I'm sorry. You can't just put that in the end of the sentence and then not. Court records didn't list a defense attorney for Furcal. I'm sorry. Can you go back to he threw a missile into a public or private dwelling or vehicle? First of all, that's a charge in the state of Florida. Florida has had enough experience with this that there is a charge on the book, a statute on the books that there is a crime called throwing a missile into a public or private dwelling or vehicle.
Yeah.
that is crazy. 2, he did it.
Trying to figure out why they let him out, though.
I need more information.
This is crazy.
Look, I know these weapons shows and things, and I know Florida is they got some wacky stuff going on there. Where do you buy a missile? And why can't, on a serious note, why can you buy a missile? Why does a civilian need a missile? On a funny note, how do you buy a missile?
Hey, you're asking all the right questions.
And Anthony, I'm proud of you. You want to know why? Because you have none of the answers.
I don't. I'm sorry. Maybe AI does.
Honestly, that's the kind of thing I would be scared to Google, because I don't want authorities showing up at my front door being like, sir, why were you Googling how to acquire a missile? It was a bit on my radio show. Have you heard of Rafael Furcal?
That's funny.
The irony is that dude had a rocket arm.
No pun intended, huh?
No, that was the pun was intended. That was the whole joke, Anthony. Good gracious. All right, hit the real things thing.
Real things.
We're not going to be sucked this year.
Real people.
5 and 11, not very good.
Said into real microphones.
The culture is actually damn good.
All right, Anthony, what's in the magic folder of sound today? I'm working from home, so you're driving.
All right. Well, this is something from the other. We don't have no time for that. I'm going to play Derek Queen. He had a funny story about Bub Carrington when they played at St. Francis together.
Like a lot of like I remember one time he was so in my league in my freshman year they're like when you transfer to a school you have to sit like in the same conference, you got to sit out a year. So he sat out a year and then he practiced with us during like so when we were supposed to play with our team in like June. So like he took like a heavily contested jumper. I'm like, no. He made it. He was like, bro, I can hoop. So I was like, all right, my bad. And then ever since I just started watching him and stuff, he did really well at St. Francis and stuff. But I mean, it'd be really cool us playing both from the same spot.
First of all, we need to work on Derek Queen's storytelling. He's a young man. There's time.
Hey, storytelling is an art, though, Craig. Like, sometimes I'm good at storytelling, and then there are other times I'm really bad at storytelling. Like, it is an art.
Plenty of examples of that over the years. And look, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but there is an arc that you want to develop. The punchline there is great, though. Like once he got into it, it took him a second to kind of find. He was, when a puppy is on a hardwood floor, and they're running in place. Yep. That was Derek Queen at the start of that story. And then he caught traction and he took off. And the punchline of like, yo, bro, I can hoop. That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. Queen's an interesting fit in DC with the Wizards. If they are going to reunite, that's obviously where it would be because, Bub's here. And I think he's like a good fit with Alex Sarr in a weird way. I think I'd rather have someone that's like a true 5 to play with Sarr, but Sarr's rebounding is really inconsistent, and Queen's an excellent rebounder, and the inside-outside versatility of both of them can work offensively, especially if Queen can stretch the 3. So he's a name definitely to watch with that 6th pick for Washington. All right, that's our show. We'll see you tomorrow from Care First Arena. We'll be broadcasting live ahead of the Mystics home opener. Have a great Thursday, and go Caps.